So Jasmine Crockett continues to peddle this lie that Charlie Kirk's killer was MAGA. But guess what? When you continue lying, somebody's gonna call you out, and watch as Marjorie Taylor Greene absolutely explodes and goes off on her.
Suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA.
Trump called for a crackdown on the radical left, but right-wing extremists are responsible for more political violence.
All of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist.
He creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public, from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th.
I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore.
Recognize Ms. Crockett for unanimous consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since I wasn't allowed equal time to debate, I have a UC. It is from, it looks like Yahoo News. It says, Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Mr. Chair, remember I have a UC as well.
We'll recognize you next time. Chair, Ms. Green, it's your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA. His family may be Republican, but all of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist, very much integrated in online groups that are linked to Antifa. He was in a relationship with a biological male, so-called furry, whatever that is transitioning to be a fake woman. He was not MAGA, not one bit. That is a complete lie, and it's an insult to every single Republican and person that identifies with those type of politics. We will not tolerate it. And that is the exact type of language that is getting many of us death threats day after day, and led to shootings on the baseball field where Steve Scalise was shot. This is what led to President Trump nearly being assassinated this past summer. This is what has led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And so I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime. On August 11th, President Trump announced major steps to address the out-of-control crime in the district. Thank God, because this is my 5th year in Congress, and living in D.C. and working here has been a nightmare. It is. The crime is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And let's talk about some of that. Since President Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard, carjackings have decreased by 87%. Nearly 1,200 people have been arrested, including known members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Those are both foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, many of them came across the border while Democrats controlled this country in the past 4 years. Federal law enforcement seized nearly 120 firearms and busted a drug trafficking ring attempting to smuggle fentanyl, PCP, and cocaine into D.C. A joint effort by ICE and MPD arrested an illegal alien previously charged with sex crimes against a child. D.C. went 12 days without a single homicide. Can you imagine that that's something that the National Guard had to be here to do? It's unbelievable to anybody that is right-minded. U.S. Attorney Pirro reported that 88% of arrests made between the start of the federal deployment on August 11th and August 25th resulted in charges being filed. This is substantially higher than in 2024, where the Biden-appointed U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves charged suspects only 57% of the time. That's because he was busy chasing down MAGA grandmas that went into the Capitol. So I've got a simple question for you. Mayor Bowser, do you prioritize criminals or the victims?
I prioritize law-abiding D.C. residents, visitors, and workers.
So that would be law-abiding citizens and victims. Do you support the police, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, do you prioritize criminals or victims of criminals?
I believe in swift and certain justice. And
No,
if
I asked you
somebody has committed
either
a
one,
crime-
victims of criminals of crime or the criminals themselves. Which one do you prioritize?
As I understand the question, victims.
Victims. Do you support the police, Mr. Mendelson?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Schwab, I'll ask you the same questions.
Unfortunately, hurt people. So sometimes victims are victims one day and
So
are
you
perpetrators the
prioritize
next
the
day.
criminals, is that what you're saying, over victims of crime?
I prioritize making up my city as safe as it can possibly be.
I'll take that as criminals. Do you support police, Mr. Schwab?
Of course, we work very closely with MPD every day.
Mr. Jackson, the same questions for you.
Definitely prioritize victims, and I stand with the 24 states that are suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion in victim service funds.
So you're against cleaning up crime in D.C. Thank you for that. I've got an article here. The D.C. Police Union head is the biggest cheerleader of Trump's D.C. police takeover. So the police here in the district support the efforts and the help from the president.
I mean, of course the police support the help from the National Guard. You would have to be a fool to not want help. When your city is being destroyed, like Washington, D.C. was, where it was a laughingstock around the world. This is the United States Capitol, and the fact that it's been one of the most dangerous cities across America is a laughingstock. Do you think that this would be happening in Russia, in China, in Japan? No, they take absolute pride in their capital. That's why Donald Trump wanted to clean up the streets. He wanted it to be a safe place to live for people so that they're not afraid to walk to the park with their family. The fact is, people were scared to go outside because crime was running rampant and the people were doing nothing about it. How sad is it, though, that the fact that we have clean streets now in Washington, D.C., and people are mad about it? People are upset at the fact that we have clean streets just because Donald Trump was the one that did it. If Joe Biden did this, they would be calling him a hero. They would be saying, how could MAGA be against this? MAGA would actually say, wow, Joe Biden, you actually did something beneficial for this country for a change. Good job. I'm proud of you. I don't know about you, but I think the side that advocates for clean streets and getting rid of crime will be the side that's proven right over the course of history.
Hear from Mr. Mendelson, you call the union celebrating Trump's takeover just despicable. You literally attack the police in your statements. You're calling
That's not correct.
the union supporting the president and the National Guard here, helping them every day on the streets. You're quoted as saying that's just despicable.
You're taking that out of context. I criticized the president of the FOP because he is a liar.
Oh, so you are against the police. Thank
No,
you for clearing that up.
no.
Also, I have
Chairman,
one.
I
Also, I
believe
have
our
one
time
last
is
thing,
expired.
Mr.
President
Chairman.
of the FOP, not the police.
I reclaim my time. Lastly, here, Mr.
Gentlelady's
Mendelson.
time's expired.
You.
Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Bell.
Mr. Chairman, I have a UC request.
Okay, state your.
I would like to
hold
enter
on.
for the
No, no.
record.
All right,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
Mr.
I'm
Chair.
sorry, Ms. Green. I recognize Bell. That's on me. I apologize. We'll get you on the next one.
Okay.
I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the September 9th, 2025 article from the LA Times titled Kennedy Commission Child Health Report Ignores Gun Violence, the Leading Cause of Child Death, which calls out the Trump administration for ignoring
Without
how gun
objection, so
violence
ordered.
kills more children in this country than any other cause, and the administration ought to be embarrassed by that.
Without objection, so ordered. And I,
I think Ms. Crockett's unanimous.
Ms. Crockett's next.
Do you have a UC?
I'll recognize Ms. Green, then Ms. Crockett. Ms. Green, do you have a unanimous consent request?
I do, thank you. For the record, Phil Mendelson's post here says repealing our laws is not liberation. Republicans in Congress can't be trusted. They took $1 billion from us, are moving more than a dozen bills, rolling back home rule, and are trying to take away our elected independent attorney general and micromanaging our legislative process. I hope everybody watched Democrats vote against the vote that adds $1 billion back in for DC. Thank you.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Yes,
for,
I request
UC.
unanimous consent to enter into the record the September 16th, 2025 article from Time titled "Trump Called for a Crackdown on the Radical Left, but Right-Wing Extremists Are Responsible for More Political Violence," which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public, from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th. I
Without
got another
objection,
one.
so ordered.
All right, the next one is for, it's an article from September 12th, 2025. Article is from Democracy Docket titled, "I Couldn't Care Less, Trump's Downplaying of Right-Wing Violence Continues Long Pattern," which calls out the game the president is playing, in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public.
I'll tell you what, that Jasmine Crockett has got some audacity to say right-wing violence. Are you flipping kidding me? What happened when Charlie Kirk died? Were there rioting? Was there looting in the streets? No, absolutely not. It was the most peaceful that I've seen America. Maybe since the Boston Marathon bombing, I've never seen America that united. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to violence and political violence, 90% of the time it's coming from the radical left. And the fact that she can be so ingenuous and say, oh yeah, Tyler Robinson was MAGA, his whole family was MAGA, and he was too. I understand his whole family. His whole family probably was MAGA because they were the ones who turned him in. I mean, for goodness sakes, anybody who calls themselves a furry is not MAGA. We stand for common sense values. We stand for bringing back traditional values to this country. I don't even know what the heck a furry is. I think it's like a dog. You pretend to be a dog. I mean, we all have that one person in the family who has counter viewpoints to everybody else, and they're very loud and brash about it, and they pretend to have the moral high ground over everybody else, and everybody else is dumb except for them. We all know people like this. Tyler Robinson was a perfect example of this. His entire family was MAGA except for him. Why? Because he was locked in a computer in Reddit groups all day, talking to people who are even crazier and more radical than him, and he just became radicalized through the internet. So Jasmine Crockett, I think she knows this. I think she fully knows that Tyler Robinson was a wacko. He was not part of the Make America Great Again movement, and she's only saying that to try and discredit Donald Trump and his movement. But not only does she spread lies, it's just her lack of decorum and lack of respect that she shows for the institution that is Congress that really irritates me. But let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you think Jasmine Crockett actually believes he is MAGA, or she's only saying this to try and disrail the MAGA movement? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.